What is going on? We are going live, Katie, and we are not in the same room. This is our first time that we've done this podcast, not in the same room. And there's a reason for that. And we'll talk about it today. It's actually the theme of the Invest With Us podcast today. And today it's a really cool episode because we're going to talk about setting up Airbnbs. And in the last 3 weeks, we've purchased and set up 3 different Airbnbs in 3 different states. And we're going to talk a little bit about that process and what it looks like and some of the things we've learned along the way, some of the things we're currently learning, and some of our takeaways and things that we'll take into the future as we do our next Airbnb and we set up our next property that's out of state. So, Katie, tell us a little bit about your experience with setting up these Airbnbs as of late.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway is you get better the more times you do it. That's my biggest takeaway. The first times there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of I don't know how this works, that type of thing. And then the more that you do it, the better you get.
Yeah. So walk us through our first Airbnb that we set up in Montana. It wasn't necessarily our first Airbnb. It's just the first of the 3 that we're talking about today. So we had experience setting up Airbnbs before, but walk us through that process of Wild Horse. And as a side note, I just saw your videos on Wild Horse of the bottom unit, which is not a short-term rental, it's a long-term rental. It's all finished, complete, and it looks amazing. It truly does look amazing.
It really does. It looks great. So yeah, Wild Horse Airbnb is a 2-bed, 1-bath, and it's here local in Bozeman, Montana, or I guess it's an 8-minute drive for me. So it's in Belgrade. It's in a little neighboring town.
So talk about how we actually acquired that property and like what is the story of that property?
Yeah, we found it on the MLS.
What? Was it a good deal?
For us, yes. For the traditional investor, no. So it was basically a giant garage with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house on top of the garage. Kind of like a shop, like a live work almost on this property. $575,000, I believe, was the price. Is that right?
6.
Oh no, that was Halifax.
Yeah, $675.
$675.
Too many properties, Katie.
$4,000 off. $675 purchase price. So for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, $675 seems outrageous. But we got creative and we brought a partner in, and he completely renovated the garage into its own unit. So we separated the upstairs 2-bed, 1-bath and the downstairs garage unit. So now we have 2 units. We have a 3-bed, 1-bath and a 2-bed, 1-bath. The 3-bed, 1-bath is a long-term unit, rents for about $1,800. And then the upstairs is a live Airbnb. We have our 3rd guest in it right now. And it's cash flowing, which is awesome.
How's that thing been doing? What's the nightly rate on it, on that thing?
I'm like blown away by this. So last weekend was graduation here for Montana State University, and I had 2 one-night bookings, and the payout for each of them was over $350. So we made $700 in 2 nights. Wow. Is that going to be consistent? No. It happened to be graduation weekend, and it was our first live weekend and last minute booking. We use a 3rd-party pricer. So the more eyeballs and the higher the demand for rooms, they increase the pricing.
So what are the prices for the rest of the month? Because we talked about this a couple days ago. Like, what are the averages?
Yeah, average is probably around $200 a night.
Around $200 a night. Let's say it's 30 nights at $6,000. Let's take that by 80%. So it's like a $5,000 a month Airbnb.
Yes.
That's chill. That's chill. So $5,000 a month plus $1,800 is, what is that? $7,000.
Yeah.
Ish a month. What is the mortgage on this thing? Do you know?
I don't.
This is like $2,600.
That's a good cash flow.
It'll cash flow a little bit. So, and it took a long time for us to get this property. We actually purchased this property when? Do you remember?
Last summer.
Yeah, it was like into summer. It was like September.
Okay.
and we rented back to the sellers for 6 or 7 months because they had sold the property, but they were trying to build another property, and they hadn't completed it yet. So we rented back to them for 6 or 7 months, and we cashed for the whole time. I think we charged them $3,500 a month, and again, our mortgage was $2,600. So actually, we were still cash flowing with them in the property. They initially, do you remember how much money they initially wanted to rent the property for?
Yeah, I think it was like $1,600 or $1,800.
I was like, bro, no. How about 3,500? And they're like, what? We were thinking 1,600. And I was like, move.
That was the point of them selling the property, was so they could move into their new property.
Yeah, move.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they're actually really great, and we had a good relationship with them. And it actually worked out in our benefit because we were able to start the remodel on the shop unit in that meantime as well. And we ended up actually discounting their rent a little bit. I think the last 3 or 4 months, we actually get access to the shop. So we're still cash flowing. I think we knocked their rent down from like 3,500 down to 3,000. And we got access to the shop. So we were able to do construction while they still lived there, which was freaking amazing. Right. And yeah, so that bottom unit is great. Just got done, got a long-term rental in there, top unit. Started as a short-term rental. And so what was the process, Katie, of getting that thing set up? Everything from like, okay, we have an Airbnb. Like, what was the very first step?
Yeah, the first step is furnishing it. So finding furniture that fit in there. So we actually hired a interior designer to go out there. She took measurements, and she basically put all of the things in a cart online for me to order. And I ordered them, and they all shipped out there. That was step number 1. Step number 2 is setting it all up. So step number 2, we sent our nanny out there with our 3-year-old, and bless their hearts, they put all of the furniture together and installed everything. So I was actually gone for a week, and when I came home, the whole Airbnb was set up and it was ready to rock. We just dressed the beds and went live.
Yeah, she really did amazing. And we spent just the last day there helping them get the rest of it set up and putting in things like cameras, putting in the door locks, and just like a little bit of touch-up stuff. But yeah, Ray, our nanny, did all the furniture setup, which was amazing. So we had Nicole, interior designer, basically purchase everything or get the list. Katie, you were the one who purchased everything. Is that correct?
Yep. Shipped it straight to the door. And then Ray went over there and actually put everything together. And then now what? Now that Airbnb is rocking and rolling, like, how does it get cleaned? Who talks to the tenants? How does it get turned over? All that stuff. Yeah, it's a great question. So we have a cleaning company that we actually clean. We flip the Airbnb.
We have a cleaning company, like we use a third-party company, or we own a cleaning company?
We own a cleaning company. So our cleaning company, Bozeman 5-Star Cleaning, they flip our Airbnbs. It's a residential cleaning company, but we do flip our Airbnbs. So it's on our schedule. We've flipped it twice now. We're on the 3rd guest. Figuring out laundry has been fun. The more research I've done, it sounds like most cleaners actually do laundry on site for most Airbnb flips. We've never done laundry on site with all of our other Airbnbs. We usually just take it to the laundromat and drop it off and then re-pick it up. So this has been a great learning process for me, because I think that the systems that I had in place were good, right? They were good enough to function with the current Airbnbs that we have. So we have 2 on our primary residence, and makes it really easy when stocking is low on dry goods, or laundry needs to be delivered to the laundromat. The laundromat's literally 2 minutes from our house. So it was very convenient for me to just go drop it off. Now we move into, just a neighboring town, and I can't just drive out there, pick it up, and take it to the laundromat. The systems that I had in place turned out to be only good, not great. So I had to implement some greater systems, and, trial by error, met with a laundromat owner, and we figured out how to maximize everybody's time out there. So we have cleaners going out there to actually flip the property, but laundry is handled by the laundry company itself. So the laundry company drives out in a locked shelving unit outside. We put the dirty linens. They take the dirty linens out, wash them, and return the clean linens. And then the cleaners have clean linens there ready to flip. So from a like logistics standpoint, we needed slightly more linens than we have historically because they're only coming out once a week. And we do have some one night stays that are options. So we need like 2 weeks worth of linens instead of just 1 week worth of linens.
Yeah. And so if you ever operated an Airbnb before, you understand that everything is relatively simple except for freaking laundry. Laundry is like, makes like every operator that I've chatted with, this is a struggle for almost everybody. And there's a different system. It's not as clean cut as I think we would like it to be because it really just depends on the property. Like there's a difference in doing laundry for a 5-bedroom home, a 4-bedroom home than it is for doing a studio. And some properties have laundry on site, some properties don't. And it's funny because the laundry logistics is a little bit unique to every single property. Is that fair to say, Katie?
Yes, every single property has a different strategy currently. Yes.
Cool. And so now we got the laundry logistics. We're taking care of it, right? Like we're still learning. Maybe what we do today might be different what we do in 6 months, but we're going to find out real quick. And you know why we're going to find out real quick? Because how many one night stays do we have on this Wild Horse property, Katie?
I think we have like 14 one night stays in the month of June.
It's wild. And we used to never do one night stays.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna learn real fast. We're gonna learn real fast what's gonna work, what's not gonna work, and we'll be able to apply this into our other Airbnbs that we have going into the future. Which, ironically enough, I'm sitting in an Airbnb right now.
Woohoo!
So, Katie, tell the story about this Airbnb that I'm sitting in.
Yeah, that Airbnb is actually in Mesa, Arizona, and it will be an Airbnb for part of the year, and it will be our home for part of the year.
What part of the year? That's the part I'm most curious about, Katie.
It will not be our home during this part of the year because you are melting away. I can see it. You're sweating, you're perspiring, even with the air conditioner running. I'm afraid you're gonna melt. No, for the winter. So for the main months of the winter, we will be in Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah. And so this house, we found it. Where at, Katie?
On the MLS.
Oh my gosh, there is no deals on the MLS.
I think we've actually purchased more deals on the MLS than we have off.
Yeah. And it's because we look for deals that have sat on the MLS or look for different strategy than most investors look for. So the reason why we purchased this property is because it had a guest house. It's way over there. You can't see it, but it's through a couple walls. It had a guest house. And because the guest house allowed us to actually cash flow this thing while we're actually living in it, it made it a good deal for us. Whereas somebody else, maybe they don't have that skill set to be able to do a rental, a short-term rental, long-term rental on the property. They don't want to deal with tenants. Maybe it's not a great deal for them. And so that's how we were able to take this property on MLS. And the thing was, it's turnkey. Like the owners who lived here before this, they did an amazing job. It was clearly an owner-occupied property. And I can tell that because they did a lot of attention to detail on so many little things, whereas if it was a rental, like the attention to detail is not set up for it to be rental. It was definitely owner-occupied property. And so we were able to come in here, turnkey, furnish the place, and get it up and rolling and be able to make money from day one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the strategy on this, and even from the moment that we bought it to how it's now evolving and changing to where we are today, Katie.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start. Let's just talk about furnishing it. So we were down there for the all-in event. I think it was the May 13th, 14th, 15th. And we hadn't closed yet, but our realtor at the time said, let's go. Like I asked, can we go check it out? And she said, yeah. So Laura Morby let us go into the property. I took measurements while we were there. And I went again online, and I basically just duplicated a lot of what our interior designer did for our Montana property and bought a lot of the same things because I knew that they work. I knew that the quality of them was good. And I shipped them there. And then Logan arrived last weekend, and or Monday, I guess, and he's been putting together furniture. Rather, he's hiring people to put together furniture because he doesn't put together furniture. And it's fully furnished now, which is great. There's a few items that you have left to go pick up, but for the most part, having furnished multiple Airbnbs, we have created a list of standard for every property. And then each property has some unique items, but those unique items, are just added as one-offs to that list.
Yeah. And I think it's important what you said right there too, is that like we're still learning. This is our first out of state property that we've ever bought. It's our first out of state Airbnb. And it's also going to be a place where we're eventually going to live. And so I wanted to come down here because I want to get familiar with the area, because it's going to be a place that I want to be and I want to live here. And as we talk about our next Airbnbs, I'll explain why that's not going to be the strategy moving forward. But this one, like, I want to be here. I enjoy being here. It's close to the people who I want to be around. This is the reason why we're moving here, is because we want to be part of this community. And yeah, so like me coming down here, definitely like managing the setup. I set up one room and I was like, no, I don't like this. And I had help doing it. And it was amazing conversation with another sub 2 student. But outside of that, I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I hired people on TaskRabbit. Katie, have you ever heard of TaskRabbit before?
I had not, but it seems awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. You go on TaskRabbit and it's like the Uber for handyman. So like you need an Uber, like you go and get it, and it's like Uber for handyman. Like I need a handyman, and you can book a time slot for them. They have their hourly rate on there, and they come over and they put together your furniture, or they put up your TVs, or they hang your cameras, your door locks. They have their own tools and everything, and it was really, really cool. We ended up finding maybe a potential handyman too through the whole process. And that's how he said that he actually gets his business. He does like the first task through there, and then he gives you your card. He's like, going forward, like, text me.
Genius.
So I was like, oh, that was really smart on his end as well. So yeah, getting this whole thing set up. And Katie, again, she had the list. She shipped everything to the door. I showed up and there was like all these boxes in front of the door. It was so funny. I was like, good thing that this is a good neighborhood and no one just like could literally just like steal all this stuff. And yeah, been setting this thing up, still in the process of setting it up. The hardest thing has been getting the internet to work. And ironically enough, I couldn't find the right coax cable. And then when the technician came, he was like, dude, this house is set up beautifully. He's like, you actually are hardwired in every single room. I just couldn't find the right coax cable to get started. But every single room is hardwired, which is like insane. So that part is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm gonna spend a couple more days here and get the whole place set up, and then I'll take some photos, and then Katie will list it. And then when is this thing going to go live?
This thing's going to go live next week, probably about a week from today. So June 1st, we should be rocking and rolling. I shouldn't say June 1st. June 3rd will be probably the day that we go live. So Friday, June 3rd. Super exciting, though. Definitely a learning curve for me, because historically we've only ever operated Airbnbs out of our local city, and we use our local cleaning company, which gives me, a little bit more control, I think, than normal. So hiring outside of my cleaning company has been a learning curve. So I'm dabbling with Turnover B&B, and it's actually really awesome because the cleaners come in and give bids, and I can accept them or decline them.
It's like the Uber of cleaning.
It is. And they have reviews on there, so I can like go into their profile and check and make sure that they have a history of cleaning and, they're likable. Maybe they ghosted somebody. I don't want to be ghosted, so I probably won't use that person. It's awesome. They do a lot of the grunt filtering for you. They even just like on Airbnb, when you become a superhost, you have like a badge and you're tagged as a superhost. These guys have like, I don't remember what the badge is called, but it's like super cleaner. Like, they only give them to the top 10% of cleaners in that area. So those people would be better. They've earned the badge. They've earned the status. So the likelihood of, me working with them is greater.
That's awesome. So now we got the cleaning piece taken care of. Oh, and I talked about this, like our strategy is adjusted a little bit. How's our strategy on this property adjusted in the last week since I've even been down here?
Yeah. So we had a fellow sub 2 student who was looking for a place to live, and we wanted to house him so bad because the community is amazing. It's Daryl. Daryl's a phenomenal person. He's going places, and we want to be his neighbor. We want to be as close to him and his momentum and his trajectory as possible. So we talked about housing him in the little casita in the backyard. And as everybody knows, Airbnb rates, the revenue that you can generate from an Airbnb in a short-term stay is a little bit higher than anything that a long-term stay can offer. So we talked about the casita, and then another sub two student came and actually helped you put together the one bedroom that you did put together.
Yeah.
And you guys started talking about RV living and how we could make an RV on that property. It has an RV gate. It has a place for an RV to park. It has water, sewer. It has everything needed. And
But Katie, it's not legal.
it's not legal.
It's not legal.
Well, we'll work around that. That's fine. We don't know the solution yet. We don't know exactly how it's going to work, but it's going to happen. So we're going to make it work. So yeah, we might actually have 3 up and running rentals on this property by June 3rd.
Yeah. And what about when we got here? What did we notice about the lot? Like, how big is this freaking lot?
Yeah, I don't know actually like the actual measurement size, but it's big enough to be able to put another casita on. So the current casita is on like the back right corner of the lot. There's totally a room to duplicate that casita and put it on the back left corner. Even if you were to put like privacy gates up or fences up, you could still have a main yard, and each casita could have its own yard.
Yeah.
So definitely looking into, permitting for building another structure on this property.
It's amazing. And so the numbers on that, let's go over some of the numbers here. So on the main house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Do you remember what the estimated comps are going to be
for Airbnb stays?
Yeah,
I think you said $3,000 to $3,500, right?
Yep, somewhere in there.
So $3,500.
Yep. And then on the casita side, I think it's like $1,700 to $2,000.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. So like the between $5,000 and $5,500. And our mortgage on this place, with everything, taxes, insurance, private mortgage insurance, is like $3,600, $3,700, somewhere in there. So it'll have a nice little bit of cash flow. And again, that doesn't include, we have cleaning fees, we have utilities, we have internet, things like that also get factored into that. But it should have a nice little cash flow. And now that we have an RV here, we'll be able to cash flow maybe even a little bit more. So that'll be bonus. That'll be bonus cash flow.
Bonus flow.
Yeah, we'll go buy an RV and then cash flow the RV.
Love it.
All right, which leads me into my next deal. I just saw that we're getting ready to close on another property, Airbnb, tomorrow. So Katie, tell us about this property.
This property is awesome. This property is in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And it's been phenomenal. So a sub 2 student found the property. I believe we're purchasing it subject to owner finance. Seller finance, yeah. Okay, seller finance. And another sub 2 student is a decorator, interior designer. And they're just like jamming. He's boots on the ground. He's gonna, make sure that the property's furnished well and up and running. We'll still probably hire cleaners outside of, what he's capable of doing. And somebody's gonna design it. So like it's pretty much hands off for us, other than I'll be the primary host because I have history of hosting, and it's like too good to be true.
Yeah.
Great deal. Phenomenal find.
It really is. This one was a great find. He brought it to me. So he's another fellow sub 2 mastermind student, and he brought it to me and wanted to partner with us on it. And it was a great deal. I think this one's projected to do like $4,500 a month, and the principal, taxes, insurance on it's like $600. It's like really low.
Great stuff. And
of course, we have all our cleaning fees and we have all that stuff that goes into it, but it should have a nice little cash flow on it for sure. And as far as the management goes, yeah, we'll take the bull by the horns, and we'll have it under our account because we're super hosts, and Katie will be in charge of basically pushing people in the right places, but they'll be boots on the ground. I think he is actually going to have his wife actually be the one who cleans it primarily, which is pretty nice as well. So she'll make a nice little side income. And yeah, he's setting it up. I'm not flying to Ohio. Are you flying to Ohio, Katie?
No,
No.
I've never been to Ohio.
I would actually like to go though.
Okay, we'll send you.
Yeah, no. I mean, we should all go as a family to Ohio, and we should
Stay
stay
in
in
our own
Airbnb.
Airbnb. I love it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And yeah, so he's taking care of everything, and him and Stephanie are coordinating each other to go to the furniture stores. They're buying all the stuff, and we're painting the property. So that property doesn't need a ton of work. I think we're painting it, and there's like a little bit of renovation, like light stuff that we're doing. Outside of that, we're just furnishing it. That's it. Turnkey Raider Rocks in a cute little neighborhood. It's an older house, older home, built in like the 50s. But outside of that, it's going to cash flow really nicely.
Yeah.
So those are our three Airbnbs that we're two of them that we currently, one is done, one we're in the process of, and the third one we close on tomorrow. So we're kind of like in different stages of all three of these Airbnbs, and they're all three different states. So Katie, what are your overall thoughts now with how these first three are shaking out? What is your thoughts on the future?
Yeah. Love Airbnbs, honestly. They're a little bit more upfront because you have to furnish them, you have to manage them, and there's a lot more turnover than a long term. Obviously, you're hosting multiple different people every single month. But I do love Airbnbs from the standpoint of you are constantly pulse checking the property. So you're maybe not you personally are in there pulse checking it, but somebody's in there cleaning it. There's always, if something breaks, you're notified immediately. Whereas with a long-term tenant, it's not always the case. Sometimes you're not notified at all of things until kids move out or tenants tenant turnovers change. But I love Airbnbs. Your property stays clean and in better condition, I think, than long-term properties. The logistics, it takes a little bit more work, but I think the outcome overall with how you care for your property is better.
Yeah. One of my big revelations or my epiphanies this week was the asset itself is the home. We're able to build a business on top of that asset, and we get to choose how we do business. So we can choose to do business as a long-term rental. We can choose to do business as a furnished long-term rental, or we can choose to do it as a short-term rental. And ultimately, like all three of those strategies can be used for any property, and they all have their pros and cons. Some are less work, some are less, and some are more work. But ultimately, the real asset is the home itself, right? That's the thing that every single month gets paid down. Every single month it goes up and it appreciates, and it's the thing that will last forever. And so it's like we're able to build a business on top of an asset, and it's the reason why McDonald's is one of the greatest businesses on the freaking planet, is because they own their real estate, and they built a business on top of the greatest freaking business on the planet is real estate. So that was my epiphany the other day. I was like, man, like it's really cool that we're able to build a business that actually cash flows really, really nicely. And at the end of the day, in 5-10 years, all that happened was that these Airbnb tenants paid down our mortgage, time appreciated the sticks and paper of this building, and then all of a sudden we created this gap. We call that equity, and then we were able to refinance it, and we'll go buy another property, or we were able to do whatever we want with it. We could sell it, cash out, and go buy another property, or we could sell it, cash it, and go buy lots and lots of sushi. And so at the end of the day, the fact that we're able to build a business on top of real estate, I think is one of the coolest things. So again, whether it's Airbnb, like we have Airbnbs, but we also have short-term rentals. We're starting now to get a little bit more into the furnished long-term rental game as well, corporate rentals. And ultimately, it's just like, how do you find the strategy on top of the asset that you want to be able to hold forever? And so that's all this is. And so we showcase 3 Airbnbs, but we also have other properties that are not Airbnbs. Like we'll probably share with you here in a couple of weeks. We're getting ready to close on another property in Massachusetts that is going to be a furnished long-term rental, which is called corporate rentals. And so that's a little bit different strategy. And at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter what the top strategy is, but the key is that you can hold that asset, right? That's the key. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I think what you build on top of it also depends on I mean, there's so many, like like you said, it doesn't matter, but there's so many different factors to take into account as to why you build what on top of it. Like,
Yeah.
do you have the time to do a short-term rental? Those types of things. But
Yeah.
the you're right, the foundation, the golden nugget of everything is the real estate that it sits on, that business sits on. That's a great analogy.
And so, with that being said, we have now bought a home in Arizona. We just closed on another property in Montana last week. We have another one under contract in Massachusetts. So, have one under contract in Texas. And so, our goal, Katie, is to do what?
50 properties in 50 states.
Why are we doing that? This seems crazy.
It is crazy.
The biggest reason why I want to do that is because how many people wanted to do deals when we said, let's do deals together in Montana?
Not very many.
Very people. They didn't want to come to Montana. And so we're like, hey, instead of you coming to Montana, we're going to go to freaking you. And we want to go buy homes in Texas. We want to buy homes in Colorado. We want to buy homes in California. We want to buy homes in Indiana, right? We want to buy homes in all these places. And so we know that if we come to you, the likelihood of us buying homes with you is much higher. And so that's our goal. That's what we're doing. We're in the process. We're making things happen. We put in an offer. We just put an offer in Wisconsin yesterday. And so we have offers going out. And once we get offers accepted, then we'll start purchasing properties. So again, if you want to be partners with us, you can bring us deals. If you have capital to invest and you're like, hey, like I want to work with experienced operators, people who know what they're doing, people who can cash flow property and at the same time can make that money multiply, reach out to us. Let's connect. You can connect with us on Facebook. You can connect with us on YouTube. Connect with us on Instagram. We're all the cool places. We're everywhere. And the reason why we do these is because we want to share stories with you to show you that it's possible, right? And not only is it possible, but like you have the opportunity that if you actually want to partner with us, whether you're finding us deals or whether you want to invest with us, like we want to do deals with you because at the end of the day, it's so much more fun when we grow our portfolios with other people rather than us just doing it all by ourselves.
Agreed. We tried that. Way more fun with people.
It's way more fun. So, Katie, I appreciate you hopping on here today. Thank you for being on the other side of the screen. Usually we're sitting next to each other, but today we got on two screens. So that was something new for us as well today.
Yeah. Fun.
And without further ado, my name is Logan Manzanares.
Katie Manzanares.
We're out.
Bye.
Bye.